legendary musician PJ Powers is joining me in studio. Now, she's just released her biography, Here I Am, and it is both a vulnerable and comedic look at her life. Hello!
Hi there. Very pleased to meet you. And
very pleased to meet you as well. It's an absolute honor to have you in the studio.
I'm thrilled to be here.
Cool. Well, I'm very excited to hear about your book. You actually just launched it on Monday.
Yes, it was. It was launched on Monday, yeah.
How did the launch go?
It was fantastic. We did it at the Book Lounge, and they were just brilliant. And it was it was full, and it was a wonderful vibe. And I felt that everyone was with me, and everybody bought books, which was always good. Yay. And and it was a lovely evening.
Now, you're a singer. This is the first book you've released. What were the nerves like at that launch?
Quite hectic. I had Marianne Tam, who I wrote the book with, as my foil on Monday night. I didn't have her in Johannesburg, and I didn't have her in Durban. So actually, Monday night was actually quite relaxed because I had her to bounce off. It was in conversation with her, and we now know each other so well, and we sort of like soul sisters, you know. There's not a lot she doesn't know about me, and so it was quite. Monday was easier than some of the others where I'm on my own. Like I'm about to go and do one on my own right now, you know.
It will be fine. I'm sure you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Now, what made you decide to sit down and tell the story of your life in the way that you have here?
You know, I think that I've been very blessed to have an incredibly full life, starting with the fact that I have no conscious memory of wanting to be anything else other than a singer. I have just always wanted to be a singer, and that's it. It's not. I can intellectually understand people saying they don't know what they want to do, but I've never felt that feeling. Mm-hmm. So I was very blessed and very determined, and buckets of determination. And that was about 1977, 78, and then I came up to Johannesburg and was fired from everywhere, and then eventually got together with the management and formed a band which became Hotline, and then my entire life turned at 360 degrees because South Africa was an incredibly divided country in 1982. I mean, 1982 to 92, 93 was the most prolonged period of violence in our country. So this book also tells the history of my career was launched actually in the most violent, turbulent times in our history. And the relevance of that is that suddenly You're So Good to Me, which was a rock ballad, was on the Radio Zulu chart. So we were invited to play in Soweto. And I was taken under the wing of the black people in South Africa, which wasn't happening at those times.
What was that like for you as a white South African?
It was a sacred, wonderful, wonderful, incredible moment, you know. I feel incredibly blessed. I was married to Soweto on that day and given the name Thandeka, which means the loved one. And I think for the first time in my book I describe how I constantly felt like an outsider. You know, I was always the big girl at school. I was always told, you know, I kind of missed out on the looks and the body department. So I was always told that, I had such a lovely personality, you know, which is not what you want to hear when you're young. I think it's okay when you get older, but when you're young, your sole goal is to fit in. And I didn't fit into the mold. So when I went into Soweto and when I was embraced in that kind of unconditional love kind of way, it was the first time I felt like I'd come home. Wow. That's how I felt, which was so juxta to what was happening in the country at the time. And that's what I want people to read, is to understand, in order to be able to understand where we are today, we must understand where we've come from. And I want people to take that out of this book as well.
Is there anything that you had to cut from the book that it was really hard for you to take out?
I've been very honest in this book. I could have added more because I've had such a full, but I mean, then it would have been a trilogy, you know.
Exactly.
And I don't believe in those huge big things. But there is nothing, I think there's some things that the reader will find out that they didn't know about me. But it is a completely, brutally honest book.
All right, well, thank you very much for sitting down with us.
Thank you for inviting me in.
Great. Well, you can get Here I Am, PJ Powers' biography at all good bookstores nationwide, and it will be available on Kindle at the beginning of next week.